Hey there YouTube, this is StoryTimeHero, and I think what I'm going to start doing, instead of deck profile videos, is I think I'm going to try something different. I think what I'm going to do is, instead of just doing a deck profile video, I'm then going to post another video afterwards, where I kind of simulate a duel with the deck and see, like, what it is I'm thinking when I get certain cards and how I would play them. And just, a way of, showing how the deck works, pretty much, more than just a deck profile can really get across. So anyway, today I have really one of my favorite decks. It's not really a competitive archetype. Some people will like to argue that it is. I just like it because it's an archetype that got me interested in the game to begin with, and it's a Neospacian deck, and Neospacians, you hear a lot about them and how, they're not that great. You hear a lot about them how, on their own, they're pretty awful. And compared to some archetypes, it's absolutely correct. Neospacians are not very aggressive, but I think that their effects are really, really cool. And, I think they deserve a little bit of attention, too. So here we go with the monsters. For the Neospacians, I run one of each. I don't really know why I run a second glow moss. I think it was just when I was building the deck one day I saw, I have two, let's see how it works, and I've never really taken it out. So anyway, I'll just go through what each one does. Air Hummingbird, by the way, all the Neospacians are 3 stars, and, they're all 3 stars. Once per turn during your main phase, you can gain 500 life points for each card in your opponent's hand. That's a very good way if you're behind and your opponent has a really stacked hand, you can use that to at least come back a little bit. Neospacian Dark Panther, this is a really, really tricky card. You can really mess with your opponent. Once per turn, you can select one face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field. While this card is face-up on your side of the field until the end phase of this turn, this card's name is treated as the selected monster's name and gets the selected monster's effects. So that can be used for a whole mess of things. If you're playing against anything that has like a destroying effect, you can use this to copy the effect and really turn the game around. And that's what I like about Neospacians is a lot of their effects can potentially be game changers, and I like the idea of a pathetic little Neospacian completely turning a game around. Like I said, 2 Glow Mosses. Glow Moss is easily the worst Neospacian, just because its effect is it gives your opponent a little bit too much. It gives your opponent too much draw power, in my opinion. When this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent draws 1 card, reveal that card. Based on its type, apply the proper effects, monster, and the battle phase spell. You can change this monster's attack to a direct attack, trap. This monster is changed to defense position. I guess in the end you're not really giving your opponent too much draw power because you know what it is that they're drawing, more or less. Yeah, but I don't know. I really don't think Glow Moss is all that great. If I was to take out any card, it would be the second Glow Moss. Neospacian Grandma. This is without doubt probably the most useful Neospacian. Because of its effect, it's just too helpful. If this card attacks or is attacked by an opponent's monster, you can return both monsters to the owner's hands at the start of the damage step without damage calculation. So what that means is that, if you're attacking literally anything, there will be 0 damage calculation with this card. You can attack, say, a Synchro or a Fusion, and no damage calculation will be done, and it'll go back into the Fusion deck. And that's a really, really nice way to, because most decks revolve around some kind of, strong extra deck monster. And so Neospacian Grandma can take that really easily. Next one is a Neospacian Aqua Dolphin. This is just a generally useful card. You can use it in decks other than Neospacians. So anyway, once per turn, by discarding 1 card from your hand, look at your opponent's hand, select 1 monster card in it. If there's a monster on your side of the field with attack greater than or equal to the attack of the selected monster, destroy the selected monster card and inflict 500 damage to your opponent. If there is no monster on your side of the field with attack greater than the attack of the selected monster, you take 500 damage. So basically, it's just a way to thin out your opponent's hand, and for decks that revolve around discarding cards to the graveyard, it can be a really nice way to both kind of whittle away your opponent, and also, particularly if it's like a Dark World deck or something, it can, or if you're running Fableds or Dark Worlds in it, you can use a card like that to activate the discard effects. Alright, and the last Neospacian is Flare Scarab. And it gains 100 attack for each spell and trap card your opponent controls. So against a, I don't know, like a Gravekeeper deck or something, that sets a lot of cards. You can potentially make this 500 attack point card a pretty decent beat stick. Now for the rest of the monsters, I run 2 Elemental Hero Neos aliases. I never really see much need to run 3, particularly because once I get 1, ordinarily, the games won't last too much longer after that. It's actually a pretty decent card. It's a 1900 attack point beat stick, 4th star, so you can use it for a lot of good XZ summonings, and it's treated as an Elemental Hero Neos, so that makes it a whole lot better for a Neospacian deck, because it revolves around getting a Elemental Hero Neos and a Neospacian out to contact fuse. And then I run only 1 Elemental Hero Neos, because unfortunately, because he is a 7-star card, I sometimes will draw him and he'll just be a dead draw because I won't be able to use him for anything. Usually I'll only need to send 1 to the graveyard for the effects of Elemental Hero Prisma, and once per turn you can reveal 1 fusion monster from your extra deck and send 1 of the fusion material monsters to the graveyard, and this card, its name is treated as that monster till the end phase. So what you can do with that is you can pretty much set up for a contact fusion in the graveyard, or you can just you can just set up your graveyard with this guy by by sending appropriate material monsters. He's just a really useful card all around for a Neospacian or any Elemental Hero deck, really. 2 Neospace Pathfinders, discard, gain Neospace to your hand. And Neospace keeps the Neospace fusion monsters on the field during the end phase. 1 Stratos, basic staple in any hero deck, searches or destroys. Cross Border, very useful for Neospacians. I only run 1 because I really see no need to run more than 1. And you can send 1 monster you control to the graveyard and special summon 1 Neospacian monster from your hand. When this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Neospacian monster from your deck to your hand. What's great about that effect is that you can target this card with its own effect, so you can trade it in for a Neospacian in your hand and then add another one to your hand. And so that's a really nice way to just stock up on Neospacians. And then, because my Neospacian deck also runs Elemental Hero fusions, so I run 2 Claymen. I'll go through the extra deck later and show you why I run these guys. 2 Claymen, 1 Sparkman, 1 Avian, 1 Burstentrix. I really only run them for the sake of having the fusion material, and 1 Rainbow Dragon for the sole reason of I run Rainbow Neos in this deck. And now for the spells, I only run 1 Neospace. For the most part, I really won't be the nice thing about the Neospace fusions is that once you get them out, usually their effects are great enough that you really don't need to worry about Neospace getting destroyed. And I have enough ways to fish out this 1 Neospace that I really don't need the extra draw power for it. Then I run 1 Terraforming. Again, that's just an additional way to pull out Neospace if I don't draw it immediately. Next I run 1 Instant Neospace. This works the same way as Neospace, except it doesn't give the Neospace fusions or Elemental Hero Neoses the extra 500 attack points. But when the monster equipped with this card is either destroyed or when it's removed from the field by any means, you can special summon 1 Elemental Hero Neos from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is just a really helpful card. I honestly like it more than Neospace itself. 1 Miracle Contact. This is a really great card that you can set up your graveyard greatly with Elemental Hero Prisma. So this card is really great for setting up the triple contact fusions. It's just really helpful for that. 1 Space Gift. You draw a card for each Neospacian you control. Just and a general Neospacian support. Convert contact, because Neospacian decks usually get beat down a lot. When you control no monsters, you can send one Neospacian monster from your hand to the deck, from your hand, and one from your deck to the graveyard, and then draw 2 cards. This is a really great combo to run with Miracle Contact, because it'll set up your graveyard very nicely for a triple contact fusion. And yeah, like I said, it's a really great combo there. I run 2 polymerizations because, like I said, I do run some of the elemental heroes, and I run a Vision Hero Adoration, so if my Neospacians aren't working out for me, I can just pull out the 2800 Beat Stick. 1 Miracle Fusion, again, you can just set up your graveyard with it, and then hit them with the Miracle Fusion. And then these next 2 cards I use largely for quick contact fusing. Fake Hero, you can special summon Elemental Hero from your hand. Common Soul. Common Soul it allows you to special summon another Neospacian from your hand. You don't actually need to use a Common Soul just for the for contact fusing, because you target one monster you control and you special summon a Neospacian from your hand, and that monster that you control gains the attack points of the Neospacian you special summoned. So it can be a nice way to just overcome an attack point wall. 1 Monster Reborn, basic staple. And if you're setting up your graveyard well enough, like I like to do with Elemental Hero Prisma, that's a really nice way to just pull back Elemental Hero Neos. 2 MSTs, basic staple. 2 emergency calls. I run 2. Usually I'll use 1 to call Stratos to my hand, and from there I can just set up my hand as I need. 1 Oversoul. You special summon a normal monster in your graveyard with Elemental Hero its name, and again, that's just a really nice way to pull Elemental Hero Neos out. And I really don't run too many traps. I run 1 Draining Shield, or 1 Birthright. Select 1 normal monster from your graveyard, special summon it, face up attack position. Again, just another way to pull Neos from your graveyard. Hero Signal, because like I said, these Neospacian decks usually get beat down a little bit, so it's a nice way to start setting up a comeback victory. Dimensional Prison, it's another great way to lock up your opponent if you need to, because if your opponent pulls out his strongest monster and attacks you with it, you can just get rid of it right then and there with Dimensional Prison. And lastly, Limit Reverse. It's a really nice way to pull back a Neospacian from your graveyard, because you can special summon 1 monster with 1,000 attack or less from your graveyard, and this I think the only Neospacian with 1,000 attack or higher is Dark Panther, and that's at 1,000, so you can use this to pull back any Neospacian in your graveyard.